Here is a vintage flashlight. This can also be called a torch depending on what area you come from. I would imagine this dates back to at least the 60s. This is quite old and certainly goes back to the era when products were built to last and built to perform. An era which is sadly pretty much gone at this point. It is branded Delta Electric Company, Marion, Indiana, made in USA. I don't know if that's the same Delta brand that we've seen in more recent times on things like computer fans, or if that's something totally unrelated. It's a very simple design. It's got a battery box, a nut and bolt holding it on to the chassis, a carrying handle, some type of I guess that would probably be a wall mount if you wanted to hang it on the wall to shine it on something, on-off switch, and a flashlight bulb. An actual glass lens. There's not a single piece of plastic on here besides the switch. Read carefully before operating. To install battery, depress spring hasp on rear of lantern case and swing open. Install fresh battery in the large section of the case. Make sure the center battery terminal rides down in the formed contact channel and that the other battery terminal falls outside of the channel. Place small section of the case over the battery and engage the two lugs on the front with the slots in the large. I'm having a hard time keeping in place. This paragraph is too many sentences. Place small section of the case over the battery and engage the two lugs on the front with the slots in the large section of the case. Press case sections firmly together until spring hasp snaps into the locking position. Turn switch on. If light is dim or yellow, the batteries are either old or not making proper contact. Use a standard 6-volt square battery. Ever ready, number 509 or 409. Burgess number F4H, General number V4F, Owen number 4812, Ray Ovac number 941, Bright Star number 460 or equal. Caution! Be sure to remove near exhausted batteries immediately. Dead batteries soon leak chemicals that will destroy the interior of this device. Form 43224, 11 printed in USA. It's funny that it warns about the batteries leaking and doesn't give a door cell model number. It's a very basic design. I guess it must use the chassis as the return, and just has the high side feeding into the bulb through that wire. Looks like you have to unscrew the lens. I'm not going to worry about doing that. It's in very good condition in there, nothing to clean. The bulb is still working, or at least the filament is intact. If it works or not is yet to be seen. So this would take a basic well, actually, this is calling it a lantern. So it's neither a flashlight nor a torch, it's a lantern. This takes a conventional, well, what I've known to be called flashlight battery or lantern battery. It's the big 6-volt cube battery. I really don't use those anymore. I'm actually not even sure if you can buy them. It's just not economical, in my opinion, to use any kind of single-use battery anymore. So I bought a bunch of these adapters years ago. These are by the Rayovac brand, and these just convert 4 D-cell batteries into the same shape and size of a typical flashlight or lantern battery. I believe that those batteries are comprised of 4 cells that are slightly larger than D cells. So this probably has a slightly lower capacity, but I'm not sure by how much. These batteries are nickel metal hydride batteries, and they're 10,000 milliamp hours. So we have a total of 40,000 milliamp hours here. And I don't know how the runtime would be impacted using something like this with nickel metal hydride batteries as opposed to alkaline batteries, because the discharge graph is not the same. I think the flashlight battery, alkaline battery, might have a longer overall runtime, but the voltage drop as it discharges is fairly constant, whereas nickel metal hydride will maintain a much higher voltage as the charge goes down for a lot longer. I think it's upwards of about 70% of the charge. It holds a pretty high voltage, which is why it's been used in things like electronics such as cordless phones, because electronics require that more steady voltage. So I tend to think that the light might actually run brighter for longer using batteries like this. No Chinglish in there. So to put the battery in, the center contact goes in there, and the I guess we should put it in with the kind of like this, following the clear directions. That's how it's supposed to sit, and it does in fact use the chassis as the return. Okay, locked in place, secure. Now that the battery's in place, it's in much better balance. It sits on the table properly. Oh, let's turn it on. And it works. Now the amount of light it's outputting seems kind of pathetic in terms of size, but let's turn the studio lights off here and see what we can get out of this thing. I'm gonna use this flashlight to go walk across the room and turn off the rest of the lights. And I'm gonna use the flashlight to come back. And actually, you know what? This is impressive to me. I was not expecting it to be this bright. It's a shame that this does not have an adjustable focus like the mag lights do, because this is extremely concentrated, which is fine, but you don't always necessarily need that much concentration. So this actually is quite decent. It you can see it's got like a very, very wide area of low light, which you can see it's around like halfway up the screen is the end of where it cuts off. So you got that, and then it's got the really concentrated area in the center. But if you're walking along the ground at night, as you can see on the video, this is absolutely enough light to guide a path. And I mean, it's really quite a wide amount of light that this is putting out. And no, there's no other lights on, it's just this. So this is really quite satisfactory. And the beam, the very concentrated beam, seems to go very far. And of course, the further away from the light you are, the wider that concentrated beam will appear. But I mean, this is making a significant difference in here in terms of what it will shine, what it will illuminate rather. Not bad. Especially considering that this is just working with a basic little 6-volt bulb, probably a straight up incandescent bulb, and a 6-volt battery, neither of which are particularly powerful or efficient sources of light. And as much as I am an opponent to LED being used for general illumination, a flashlight is actually one situation where the LED bulb has an advantage because it's much more efficient than this. I don't know what the runtime is on this thing, but I imagine it can't be more than a few hours, if that. It might even just be like 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe I'll test it out sometime and see how long it lasts.